Good evening. I am Marietu Sidibe and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Kairaba Avenue. Thanks for joining us. And now, here are the main local and sports news headlines. Following the recent political and military tensions between Ukraine and Russia, the Gambia government has issued a press release on possibilities of evacuation and providing consular and humanitarian assistance to Gambians in Ukraine. The National Assembly Select Committee on Education on Thursday called on the Ministries of Education and Finance to discuss Gambia's $11 million arrears to the West African Examination Council, WAEC. The Minister of Environment has defended the Gambia's plan to drill oil despite an ambitious nationally determined contribution to combat climate change. The family of a 13-year-old cardiac patient whose illness gives her the appearance of a 5-year-old is appealing for support for overseas cardiac surgery. In sports news, the Gambia is hosting the 5th edition of the African Sports Management Association Conference to promote grassroots sports. Those were our main headlines. Now the news in detail. Following the recent political and military tensions between Ukraine and Russia, the Gambia government has issued a press release on possibilities of evacuation and providing consular and humanitarian assistance to Gambians in Ukraine. And Sumana Isonyasi has more.
The government of the Gambia hereby informs the public that the Embassy of the Gambia in Brussels is in touch with the executive of the Gambian Students Association in Ukraine. It has been confirmed by the mission in Brussels that about 48 Gambian nationals are currently in Ukraine, mostly students. This number is expected to increase. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Gambians Abroad has launched diplomatic engagements with the Kingdom of Morocco and the Federal Republic of Nigeria on possible evacuation plans and possibilities of providing consular and humanitarian assistance to Gambians in Ukraine. Similar diplomatic demarches are ongoing with European Union member states bordering Ukraine. Having due regard to the safety of our nationals, an exit and evacuation plan has been put in place, and the Gambians in Ukraine are already following the referred plan. The Gambia government is doing everything possible to ensure the safety of its citizens and calls on Gambians in Ukraine to follow the safety instructions of the Ukrainian authorities under the circumstances and remain in touch with our embassy in Brussels. Families of the Gambians in Ukraine are also urged to remain calm as the government does the necessary to provide all necessary assistance. The following hotline is available for easy access to information by Gambians in Ukraine as well as their families in the Gambia. +220 7709 165, +220 380 9312, or email kamarake95@yahoo.com.
The National Assembly Select Committee on Education on Thursday called on the Ministers of Education and Finance for a meeting to discuss Gambia's $11 million arrears to the West African Examination Council, WAEC. Momodo Lamin Choi reports.
The National Assembly Select Committee on Education is meeting senior officials of the Finance and Education Ministry to gather facts about Gambia's $11 million arrears to the West African Examination Council. Reports emerged this week indicating the examination body's plan to sanction the Gambia for its failure to pay the arrears, which have been accumulating for at least 17 years. The permanent secretary of the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Louis Moses Mendy, explains the background to the arrears to the Select Committee.
So in 2004, we were required to pay over $215,000 as our fee for that year. Unfortunately, we could only pay $70,000, slightly over that, just slightly over $70,000. So that's when the arrears really started accruing from that period until 2021, before the current year, which is 2022. But in 2020, the government of the Gambia was apportioned slightly over $1 million, which they have paid in full in 2020. So the reason for the arrears is the non-payment of the full apportion dues that were meant for us.
The Education Ministry and WAEC have negotiated a payment plan. In addition to that, both the Finance and Education Ministry report to have met to come up with measures to fulfilling the country's financial obligations to the examination body. Here is the Finance Minister, Mamburin Njai.
We met yesterday and there is a meeting scheduled between the government and the WAEC chair, including their committee, tomorrow at 9 a.m. I can assure you that it will be resolved. The whole issue is about willing and able. We are willing at the time that the pandemic came, the ability to pay, and in the absence of that payment plan, it was difficult.
After more than a decade and a half years of accumulating arrears of nearly $600 million, WAEC threatened to withhold exams and insisted Gambia pay the amount in full. However, negotiations between both parties appear to be fruitful. The Education Minister, Claudiana A. Cole, calls WAEC's decision on the Gambia a deliberate attempt to get the country pay up.
I understand, according to my peers, because he's the one who sits at these WAEC meetings. He's been reporting to me, time he goes to a meeting and comes, he reports to me. He's been reporting to me that they were asking for 50%. And he's been trying to negotiate with them to say, no, we cannot pay 50%. Let's look at it. Let's be reasonable. Let's be considerate. And I understand they arrived at a 20%. They said they would accept 20%. But that 20% also seems to still be a huge amount.
Joint reassurances from both Ministries of Finance and Education to resolve the deadlock in the coming days have brought some relief for the Select Committee, whose major concern was the consequence of the WAEC sanction. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
In November 2021, the United Kingdom
COP26 objectives depends on follow-up actions over the coming year and beyond. Malanding Jaita, project manager of the Ecosystem-Based Adaptation (EBA) project, attended the COP26 in Glasgow and is among the participants at this dialogue.
This is meant to really provide us the opportunity for everyone to understand where we are in the climate change scenario as a country and what we can do in order to really move ahead. Because the Gambia, already stated by several, including the minister, is one of few countries that is most impacted by climate change.
Alpha Jallo from the Ministry of Environment and the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change focal person spoke at length about what the Ministry of Environment has been up to since they returned from Glasgow in November. Here is what he had to say about finance.
In Glasgow, there were a lot of pledges from the British government, from the EU, from others, and those monies are there. They are pledged to the Adaptation Fund, to the LDC Fund, to the forestry funds. A lot of funds have been pledged, but to access them, you have to do something. And that is, you have to come together as a government, as an institution, to draw up plans and develop projects that can help you to access those funds. And on that, we are looking at our SPCR, and where we have about 10 projects or 11 projects with concept note developed, is to translate those concept notes into projects that we will submit for funding.
The Gambia has set goals to mobilize local and international support and scale up its energy consumption to renewables and reduce its greenhouse gas emissions to 49.7% by 2030. Globally, Gambia is the only country with commitments compatible with the Paris Agreement. The Minister of Environment, Climate Change took the opportunity to respond to a question about why the Gambia is going ahead to drill for oil when it has such an ambitious nationally determined contribution plan, and as much of the rest of the world is seeking to move away from fossil fuel.
This is why restoration stands out, because it's give and take. If we produce 100 gigatons of carbon, and we have a system that can absorb 300 gigatons of carbon, then there is that balance. So I said to him, my response was, yes, we have a medium and long-term plan all set within the NDC, and all these are foreseen for the long term, for the medium to the long term.
The dialogue brought together national and local government representatives, private sector companies, the investment community, civil society, and all non-party stakeholders. For QTV News, I am Jenna Bosonko.
We will now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have more local and international news stories. Do stay tuned.
The award winner for this category, GSM Taxpayer of the Year, goes to QCell Gambia Limited. QCell Limited.
I feel very proud as a Gambian to be awarded this award. It shows the impact we are having on the economy of the Gambia. I must take this opportunity to thank the entire QCell staff for their hard work and also for all Gambians who patronize QCell. I want to assure Gambians that whatever they give us, we'll give back to Gambians. That's why we have a slogan, Sunyu Boss.
To make sure your company's products and services reach your potential customers, it is essential that you choose the right channel for your marketing purposes. QTV has the widest reach locally and beyond, and we can give your business the visibility it needs. Call QTV Marketing on +220 324 4444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm and take your business to the world.
Welcome back. The family of a 13-year-old cardiac patient whose illness gives her the appearance of a 5-year-old is appealing for urgent help to get recommended overseas cardiac surgery. Alusise visited the family in Talinding and here now reports.
A medical report issued by the Edward Francis Sumo Teaching Hospital, the Gambia's main referral hospital in Banjul, states that Kumba Jallo was admitted at the hospital's pediatric special care unit for easy fatigability, gradual weight loss, and inability to lie flat and fast heartbeat that started a year ago. However, the hospital has recommended for possible overseas cardiac surgery as it can't be treated in the country. During a visit to Kumba's family house in Talinding, a desperate-looking Ablaikli, an uncle, says Kumba Jallo's condition is worsening as she looks chronically ill, as is evidenced by protruding ribs and pale appearance. He appeals for support from the public to facilitate the overseas treatment, as all attempts to cure her locally have proven unsuccessful. Sekuba, another family member, joined Mr. Lee in appealing for assistance from individuals, government, and private institutions. According to Ba, Kumba's wish is to go to school, but her poor health condition currently prevents that.
The current health condition of Kumba is like she's in a very sad situation. Because if you look at her, the way she's sitting down, this is the only way that she is comfortable. She always bent down. Yeah, if she sit down for a while, she's like suffering, and she always struggle to walk at a distance. If she's to walk just for a short distance, you will see her willing to relax, or somebody have to carry her. Yeah, so therefore her health condition is really in a very sad situation at this moment, and she is really in their need of help if she can have any. Yeah, because she's put on medication, and these are the medications that she is taking to keep her comfort for now. Yeah. And the saddest side of it, sometimes I will be here, she will come to me and tell me that, help me, I want to go to school. Yeah, I want to go to school. Just yesterday, she came to me. It's like week before last, she came and told me that I need a book, help me, so that I can read. I thought, okay. So I forgot about it. The following day, she came to me. I told her about help me with a book, so that I can learn. She want to go to school. Children are here. Sometimes they will be the one helping her. But for now, with this situation, she cannot go to the school and then land there. So in case she have this help, it's really going to help her a lot.
Any individual or institution willing to support can contact the QTV's news department on 333-245 or email news@qtv.gm. Reporting for QTV News, I am Alusise.
8 senior secondary schools, including public and private schools, on Saturday took part in the annual quiz competition organized by the Young Mathematicians Association of the Gambia on Saturday at the Law Faculty of the University of the Gambia. Our reporter Omar P. Jallo was there, and this is his report.
The 10 competing schools are from the Greater Banjul area. The competition is aimed to give participants the opportunity to showcase their talents and understanding of mathematics. The quiz competition started with, amongst others, Newsrat versus St. Peter's, Gambia High versus Masru, SOS versus St. Joseph, and Methodic Senior Secondary School versus St. Augustine Senior Secondary School. Ibrahim Abite, the co-founder of the association, reveals that the aim of organizing the competition is to help students build an interest in mathematics.
When I was teaching mathematics. Then I realized that Gambians can do mathematics. But the problem is the motivation and then the mentorship that they lack. So that is one of the reasons why I came with Mr. Babukar Sise, to form this association to help young Gambians. Let me just give you an anecdote of one of my brothers. He was very weak in mathematics, but with our help, he was able to do mathematics, and now today he is pursuing his master's degrees in mathematics.
At the end of the first round, Nusrat Senior Secondary School was defeated by St. Peter's, Gambia High School defeated by Masru, SOS defeated St. Joseph, and Methodic Senior Secondary School defeated St. Augustine, leaving 4 schools to qualify for the second round. Professor Per Gomez, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics at the University of the Gambia, noted that mathematics is a crucial subject for socio-economic development of a nation, adding that the competition will give students the opportunity to expose their talents and urge teachers and parents to give students the support needed to excel in mathematics.
You cannot be a medical doctor, a nurse. You cannot be a computer scientist. You cannot be an engineer if you do not have maths background. The interesting part of it, they are doing it just day after our 57 years of independence. And for me, it's a message that has been sent. And with this, we need to put our house in order so that we can get the right manpower and get the personnel that will be the agents of change for development.
John Gomez, the president of the association, has this to say.
We started with this quiz competition, but even before the quiz competition, like we've been doing community outreach and school outreach where we go and talk to the students and try to make them know about the beauty of mathematics and make them understand and the applications of mathematics in this world, and also try to eradicate this phobia that they have.
St. Peter's Senior Secondary School and Methodist Senior Secondary School went head-to-head in the final, and in a closely contested final, St. Peter's defeated Methodists by 85 points to 80. Certificates of participations were awarded to all schools, and the winning school, St. Peter's, got $2,000 and second place Methodists got $1,000. Reporting for KTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
In sports news. The Gambia is hosting the 5th edition of the African Sports Management Association Conference. The 3-day convergence is in line with the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the National Sports Council Development Plan. The theme for the Banjul meeting is Investing in Grassroots Sports, the surest way of achieving excellence in sports. Babukar Si has the rest of that story.
This is the first time that the Gambia is hosting such an event, marking the 5th edition of the ASMA meeting in Africa since its inception. Among other aims, the association is an affiliate member to the World Sports Management Association and participates in all of its activities, including conferences, publications, and other professional networking activities with the objective of bringing African sports under one umbrella. The theme for the Banjul meeting is Investing in Grassroots Sports, the surest way of achieving excellence in sports. In welcoming the delegates, the Executive Secretary of the National Sports Council, Mr. Marcel Mendy, says the ASMA conference is academical, as teaching is an important aspect in building an athlete's career from grassroots.
Sport teaches athletes and all those who take part in it many important life lessons. It teaches discipline, focus, dedication, hard work, commitment, and teamwork among some very important values. It is therefore our responsibilities, ladies and gentlemen, as managers, to value sportsmanship and award the courage of athletes to take action rather than focusing on winning or losing.
Addressing the delegates on behalf of the President of the World Sports Management Association, Professor Oluwaseun Omotayo, thanked the Gambian government for allowing the association to host the 5th edition of the asthma gathering, saying the only way we can achieve success in sports is to build from the grassroots.
Sports development is a special purpose vehicle for youth sports development. I join all African countries to make sports development from the grassroots a strategy for sustainable sports development in Africa. African Sports Management Association, ASMA, is ready to partner with African countries through the African Union Sports Councils in the quest of developing sports from the grassroots in Africa.
The permanent secretary at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Sekou Sanyang, delivered this speech on behalf of the Minister of Youth and Sports, in which he highlighted the importance of the conference, particularly the theme of the gathering.
Your gathering here has come at the most opportune time, happening soon after the heroic performance of the Scorpions of the Gambia at the AFCON, just recently concluded AFCON tournament in Cameroon. This momentous achievement has motivated sport managers in the Gambia and beyond, who without doubt will endeavor to maintain the momentum, thus the need to take part in such an important event. Conversely, this conference is happening at a time that our young people in Africa continue to risk their lives in the high seas, thinking that they can make ends meet in other parts of the world. It is my fervent conviction that through sport we can drastically reduce unemployment in Africa and the number of young people risking their lives through perilous journeys in high seas to Europe.
The conference is being attended by African sports leaders and stakeholders in the continent and heads of national sports associations in the country. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
Gambian swimmer and Olympian Pa Jonga participated in the second edition of the Africa Life Saving Championship held in Alexandria, Egypt from 16 to 28 February 2022. Our sports reporter Momodu Gajaga had a chat with Pap, and this is the report.
Divers and lifesavers across various countries in the continent took part in the competition to raise awareness about lifesavers at the beach. Speaking from his base in Dubai, Pap Jonga talks about the competition.
The competition was held by the Egyptian Life Saving Society as well as the championship. The goal for the event was to bring African countries together and work towards on drowning prevention, and that was the concept of the event.
Pap Jonga is an Olympian who represented the Gambia in the Rio 2016 Olympic Games in swimming. He is now based in Dubai pursuing a career in diving and life-saving. Jonga says even though he is still into competitive swimming, he has passion to be a lifesaver.
Yeah, so since after the Olympic, I have been training, but my focus was a bit more shift to in terms of life-saving society, because currently that's what I am working as. I'm working as a lifeguard as well as a swimming instructor. So it's kind of been part of me since I left the Gambian show, and I'm still pursuing that in terms of sport and also in terms of health-wise and in terms of knowledge and education.
Life-saving is an act of rescue, resuscitation, and first aid. It often refers to water safety and aquatic rescue. However, it could include ice rescue, flood and river rescue, swimming pool rescue, and other emergency medical services. Those who participate in life-saving activities as a volunteer are called lifesavers, and those who are employed to professionally perform life-saving activities are called lifeguards. Mumudu Gajaga, QTV News.
Before we end, here is a recap of the main headlines. Following the recent political and military tensions between Ukraine and Russia, the Gambia government has issued a press release on possibilities of evacuation and providing consular and humanitarian assistance to Gambians in Ukraine. The National Assembly Select Committee on Education on Thursday called on the Ministers of Education and Finance to discuss Gambia's $11 million arrears to the West African Examination Council, WAEC.